Education, Beta Edu, Minister of Finance Wale Edu, World Bank Country Director Shubham Shaduri, and the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator for Nigeria, Matthias Male, among other dignitaries. The President added in his maiden Independence Day broadcast to Nigerians on October 1, 2023, announced the cash transfer program, which he said would target vulnerable citizens. Meanwhile, the Ondo State government has concluded arrangement to disburse 10,000 naira cash transfer to over 18,000 vulnerable people across the state as part of efforts to cushion the hardship occasioned by fuel subsidy removal. The State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Mrs. Bamidele Ademola Olateju, at a news conference in Akure on the palliative distribution strategy and implementation, said arrangements have also been concluded by the Palliatives Committee, with a superb to share 192,000 primary school pupils in the state. She said the free shuttle buses and shuttle boats for students and public servants will be sustained by the government's palliative committee. The commissioner said the government has also commenced investigation into alleged disappearance of over 500 bags of rice meant for the vulnerable in Akure South local government. In the meantime, the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty is observed annually on October 17 as set aside by the United Nations to end all forms of poverty on the globe. The theme for this year's commemoration is decent work and social protection, putting dignity in practice for all, aims at universal access to decent work and social protection as a way to uphold human dignity for all. Osrc's Joy Pius reports that the day creates a chance for people living in poverty to make their concerns known and reflect their willingness to utilize their expertise to contribute towards poverty eradication. We'll bring you the report in the course of the bulletin. No fewer than 2,180 youth and women have benefited from the International Fund for Agricultural Development (AFAD) programs between 2020 and 2023, which cut across the 10 selected local government area of the state. The state coordinator of AFAD, Prince Olawale Ademola, spoke in Akure at a press conference. Our correspondent Olabanjo Ogundole was there, and the report is presented from our studio.
The International Fund for Agricultural Development Program is designed to address poverty and hunger in rural areas of developing countries. It is the only multilateral development organization that focuses solely on rural economies and food security. The Ondo State Project Coordinator of IFAD, Prince Olawale Ademola, said that the program was designed to empower youth and women, especially those living in rural and suburban communities. Ademola explained that the objective of the project was job creation, increased income and food security for the youth and women in the Niger Delta region to enhance sustainability through agro-business development in the state.
The major challenges is how to convince this youth to come into real farming. Farming as what? As business, not just a subsistence farming of the world. So we try to give them orientation, training, talk to them, then out of which they will now develop the business plan. From there, the project we carry out real capacity building. That capacity building, we will do what we call incubator model, in which the incubator, that is the beneficiary, we understudy the incubator for a period of time, some a month, some 2 months, some 3 months. From there, then the project will then empower them, and we still continue with mentorship.
Some young farmers trained by the International Fund for Agricultural Development in Ondo State lauded the project. The farmers said that the training and empowerment had given them a new lease of life.
I thank God today I am part of the beneficiary. I have been empowered for at least a year ago. So, and I'm doing good. I thank God. If not for IFAD, FND, I have not been able to become who I am today.
They have the structure that will work effectively in building and increasing the capacity and giants in every youth that is ready to pursue his passion, and is not having much to go about it.
After a year, I was supplied my own inputs as a farmer, as a poultry farmer. The layers were given to me. That was 300 birds. From there, I was able to furthermore to ensure my stability in the business. Even though there was challenges here and there, but the trainings that I've received in life ending over the years that my money could not afford to get, I've been able to, life ending, I've given a kind of knowledge that is more than money.
IFAD's work aims to catalyze country and global progress for rural people to overcome poverty and achieve food security through remunerative, sustainable, and resilient livelihoods.
A federal high court in Abuja has fixed October 30 to hear a preliminary objection filed by Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu against a suit filed by his deputy Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa to stop his impeachment by the State House. Justice Emeka Nwete, who adjourned the matter after Aiyedatiwa's counsel opposed the submission of a lawyer to Akeredolu on his insistence to have his application heard, also fixed same date for hearing the deputy governor's counter affidavit. Justice Nwete equally fixed the hearing of an application filed by the Ondo State House of Assembly and its speaker challenging the jurisdiction of the court and a motion for a stay of execution of the interim order of the court filed by the lawmakers for the same date. The judge asked all parties to put their house in order ahead of the next adjourned date. Justice Nwete urged on September 26 restrained the Ondo State House of Assembly from impeaching Aiyedatiwa over alleged gross misconduct. The chief spokesman for the Obi Dati presidential campaign organization, UNISA Tanko, has debunked speculation that its flag bearer, Peter Obi, is going about with its brother's University of Nigeria academic certificate. Tanko also took a swipe at the Lamidi Apapa faction of Labour Party, saying they are desperately trying to make Obi look like a bad product before the Nigerian electorate. The development is coming in the wake of controversy that throws President Bola Tinubu's Chicago State University certificate. Obi and his People's Democratic Party counterpart Atiku Abubakar had dragged the president at different press conferences amid controversies over the authenticity of the credentials he submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission. While Atiku accused Tinubu of parading forged academic documents, Obi challenged the former Lagos governor to reveal his true identity to Nigerians. You're still watching Osrc News at 7. Ondo State Government commends workers' loyalty as Public Service Week kicks off. This and more after the break. Please stay with us.
Take it from me, the mind-blowing way to do things is the Glow LTE advanced way. When you stream, it's like you're in the drama itself. When you make calls, you reach where others can't. Cookie! From your street. And when you play,
I did beat you guy.
It's like traveling the world without moving an inch.
Is that Toby in your room?
You can download in the blink of an eye in 4K.
Go.
And when you go for your dreams, it's like running with the strength of 3 nations behind you.
Glow LTE Advanced, the power of 3 data networks in one. Get a Glow SIM or dial *301#.
You are welcome back. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at Osrc. And on YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel, Osrc TV, Ondo. Ondo State government is in talks with labor leaders and will soon announce a wage award for civil servants as part of measures to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal in the country. Ondo State Head of Service Kayode Ogundele made the clarification while addressing journalists in Akure, the state capital, as part of activities marking this year's Public Service Week. Omorion Lakungbiji reports that the theme for this year's anniversary is bureaucratic impact on investment promotion in Ondo State.
The 2023 edition of Public Service Week anniversary in Ondo State with the theme Bureaucratic Impact on Investment Promotion in Ondo State is a 3-day program for workers, and one of the objectives of the program is to engage public servants on how to improve the state's bureaucracy. This press briefing was a platform for the Ondo State Head of Service, Mr. Kayode Ogundele, to acquaint public servants with government's welfare programs. For them, according to him, 12,372 workers have so far been promoted this year, while the process for the 2024 promotion exercise will soon commence. He added that salaries and leave bonuses are being paid as and when due, hence the need for workers to eschew unprofessional practices and give their best to the government.
The government is not only living true to its promises, securing lives and properties through the valuable service of the Ondo State Security Network Agency, Amotek, and giving financial support to other security agencies in the state, delivering massive infrastructural transformation in road expansion and rehabilitation across the roads and crannies of the state, embarking on agricultural revolution and rural development, empowering the vulnerable people through Ondokia program, improving revenue generation. That has also made the issue of workers' welfare a priority.
The number of civil servants also announced that the government was in the process of engaging over 1,000 health workers before the end of the year, while measures are being put in place to address the shortage of teachers in the state.
Notwithstanding the lean resources of government, some critical requests have been made to boost different sectors, among which are the health, work, as infrastructure, and education sector. And some deployments were made from other sectors to shore up the staffing resources in our schools, pending when full-scale recruitment will be made. It cannot be overstressed that the posture of Mr. Governor is towards the welfare and prosperity of workers.
While encouraging public servants to improve service delivery, Mr. Ogundele announced that the Ondo State government is in talks with labor leaders to announce a befitting wage award for civil servants to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal.
Myself, the essence of Mr. Governor Union Matters, and the leaders of the labor union met in my office, and we all discussed what is the way forward. And like that day, we agreed that the issue of wage review or whatever, wage award, before the federal government came up, we agreed that that is going to be one of the things we will do as a way forward for workers in Ondo State. We agree on what is to be done, and then Mr. Governor saying, go ahead. So whatever we agree on with the labor, would let you know.
The 3-day program lined up for this year's event will also witness interactive session between the head of service and workers on Wednesday, 18th, while public service lecture reflecting the theme of the anniversary will climax the event on Thursday, 19th of October. Omori Olahungbeji, Osrc News.
Students should be acquainted with governance and legislative procedures for meaningful engagement, especially on issues that border on democratic and legislative procedures. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Mrs. Folashade Adegoke, spoke at the second edition of a quiz competition organized for public and approved private secondary schools in the state to broaden their knowledge on legislative and democratic procedures. Our correspondent Kunle Ario reports.
The competition, among others, aimed at providing continued education on the legislature and broadening the knowledge of students and youth on the history, practice, and procedure of legislature, and encourage deeper understanding of civic and democratic governance. The Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Folashade Adegoke, represented by a Deputy Director in the Ministry, Mrs. Modupe Onukun, maintained that democratic participation remains the fundamental pillar of good governance, and therefore the younger generation needs to get acquainted with the processes and procedures early. Mrs. Adegoke said, since democracy is rooted in the principles of participation and informed decision-making, citizens need to be knowledgeable about their rights and procedures of governance for informed decisions about the country. According to her, the competition is an avenue for the children to broaden their knowledge on the demands of democratic governance.
Democracy is founded on the principle of participation and informed decision-making. At the heart of this principle, it is the understanding that citizens need to be knowledgeable about their rights and the role they can play in shaping a better society. This competition, therefore, serves as an opportunity for young people to learn more about how democracy works, to showcase the knowledge and our young people and their ability to engage in meaningful decisions about the issues that matter to them in their communities.
The Director General of the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, National Assembly, Professor Abubakar Suleiman, represented at the event, said the competition will expose the students to the workings of the legislative arm of government.
The broad objective of the competition is to provide continuing education on the legislature and broaden the knowledge of students and youth on the history, practice, and procedure of the legislature, and encourage deeper understanding of civic and democratic governance. The competition will also stimulate the interest of the young students in politics, make them more proactive in matters related to the legislature and democracy.
The annual quiz competition is open to both public and approved private secondary schools across the 3 central districts of the state, and 6 schools, 2 from each central district, made it to the state level at the second edition of the program. They are Stella Maris College, Okitipupa, and Progressive College, Okeibo, Ondo South, St. John and Mary University Secondary School, Owo, and Greater Tomorrow International College, Arigidi Akoko, Odo North, White Secondary School, Obaile, and Holy Trinity Grammar School, Ondo, represented the Central District. Greater Tomorrow International College, Arigidi Akoko, came first at the end of the competition, with St. John and Mary University Secondary School, Owo, second, and Stella Maris College, Okitipupa, came third. The winner, Greater Tomorrow International College, Arigidi Akoko, will represent Ondo State at the zonal competition slated for Lagos later in the year, while the winner at the Southwest zonal level will represent the zone at the grand finale of the competition in Abuja. Kunle Ario, Osrc News.
And now we bring you the full report on Poverty Eradication Day. And we told you that the theme for this year's commemoration is decent work and social protection, putting dignity in practice for all, aims at universal access to decent work and social protection as a way to uphold human dignity for all. Osrc Joy Pius reports that the day creates a chance for people living in poverty to make their concerns known and reflects their willingness to utilize their expertise to contribute towards poverty eradication. The reports.
The International Day for the Eradication of Poverty is observed on October 17 every year to promote people's awareness on the need for its global eradication, particularly in developing countries. Poverty is a complicated, multifaceted problem that affects access to healthcare, education, and social inclusion, extending beyond a lack of income.
Poverty has been in existence for a very long time. It's not what a government can come one day and say they want to eradicate it. No.
Things have to change in this country. Like, people are really suffering. People are really suffering a lot.
This year's theme, Decent Work and Social Protection, Putting Dignity in Practice for All, calls for universal access to decent work and social protection as a means to uphold human dignity and to emphasize that decent work must empower people, provide fair wages and safe working conditions, and fundamentally recognize the inherent value and humanity of all workers. Speaking on the significance of the day, respondents say eradicating poverty requires economic growth and well-designed social protection policies to improve and sustain people's standard of living.
Workers today that believe that the wages they are earning is not a living wage. You know, especially in our country, we talk of minimum wage, but people are also talking about living wage. So if you look at it now, some people they say that especially since the advent of the removal of subsidy, most workers have been complaining. Kudos to Ondo State government that also provides some palliative in terms of transportation palliative to workers to convene them from place to place. So in an environment where you don't have such intervention, you discover that even people that are working can be deemed to be poor.
If government can help us to provide job opportunity, it will be well sound to the masses. That is what the masses, most especially the youth, they are listening to hear, that government will provide a job opportunity to them. But if they fail to provide a job opportunity, that poverty will never stop in Nigeria.
According to the Ondo State Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Emmanuel Igbason, Ondo State is identified as the least state on the National Poverty Index, as the state government is introducing different policies to enhance the standard of living of the people.
Everything we've been doing since the inception of this administration is people-centric. People-centric in the form that everything we do revolves around the welfare and economic well-being of our people. So it is not surprising that we came out tops as a state. For example, if you prioritize payment of salaries as we did in the first term, there's a ripple effect that is created because the civil servants in the state are the highest spenders. Are knowing fully well that more than 60% of all the total money that comes to the state goes to that sector. Thereby, when you empower this sector of people, the trickle-down effect trickles down to artisans, to commerce, to trade, even to estate, and various aspects of the economy is touched.
We know government alone cannot do it. Even most of our programs are sponsored by foreign agencies. That is why we can afford to give out all this equipment we are giving out to all these people. Like the barbers, we give them generators and barbing equipment. All we can do is, we know that government cannot do this alone, but if God has been good to you, your widow's mite will help in sponsoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. How much will it cost? Not much.
However, the 2023 commemoration of the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty worldwide should be deeply significant for Nigeria, as over 133 million people are multidimensionally poor, according to the data from the National Bureau of Statistics, with over 7 million more, according to the World Bank, expected to join the number this year. Joy Pius, OSRC News.
The crisis in the Senate has worsened, with the Chief Whip, Senator Ali Ndume, angrily staging a walkout. To save the situation from escalating, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, suddenly called for an emergency closed session. Ndume had raised the point of order, citing Order 54 of the Senate rulebook to draw the attention of the Senate President to his handling of affairs in the chambers, which were against the rules. Akpabio had hardly allowed Ndume to end the speech when he ruled him out of order. Visibly enraged, Ndume stormed out of the chamber and went straight to his office. The Chief Whip, shortly after, received a call from a colleague to return to the chamber for an executive session. On the foreign scene, Liberia is heading for a second round of voting in the presidential election between outgoing incumbent George Weah and opponent Joseph Boakai. as official provisional results placed them neck and neck. With more than 94% of ballots counted, Boakai 78 won 43.70%, while Ware 57, a former international footballer who is running for a second term, gained 43.65% according to results published by the National Electoral Commission. The two men were well ahead of the 18 other presidential candidates in the first round of voting. As on the foreign scene, United States President Joe Biden is expected to express Washington's support for Israel on his planned visit tomorrow as Israel prepares for a likely ground offensive against Hamas in Gaza. Secretary of the State Antony Blinken said the U.S. has agreed with Israel on a plan to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza. A meeting in person would allow Biden to privately discuss concerns and possible red lines in the looming ground invasion, but it also poses security risks for the U.S. president as Hamas also launches rocket attacks in the direction of Israel, including the country's main airport, Ben Gurion International.
The United States and Israel have agreed to develop a plan that will enable humanitarian aid from donor nations and multilateral organizations to reach civilians in Gaza, and them alone, including the possibility of creating areas